This just right now, there's just so much suffering.
The journey home has never been more difficult for Ingrid Webb.
Right now, it's still extremely hard because of the hike, and we have to take care of the farm.
She treks over the narrowest portion of this massive lava field, a scarring reminder of Kilauea's most recent eruption. It's a black rock river that rips through some of the most fertile farmland in all the Hawaiian island chain. No longer the raging rapid of liquid fire it was just 1 year ago. The sun beating down on this hard and charred earth makes the scorching hike even more grueling.
So this is the 10-minute hike. When we get there, it'll be another 35 minutes to get to the farm. We have a 15-acre farm, so we supply organic citrus all over the island. To be fully operational again, it would take at least 5 years to plant new trees and be full-on production again. Well, my main concern is if there's accidents, if we're working on the farm, that's really number one. You can't just go to a hospital.
Ingrid and her husband have 4 young children. They live in one of the dozens of homes inside the Kapohoki Puka, an area completely isolated, surrounded and cut off by the lava flows.
Just want to move back home and just be here.
At least she has a home to go back to.
It was our nest for the rest of our lives. Well, I'm really glad I'm not underneath there since it opened up in my front yard.
Leilani Estates was the very first subdivision to bear witness to Madame Pelle's power. Linnell Hazemer hasn't been back until now.
It was our retirement home. It was income. It was also a place that was just so alive.
She lived here on a portion of Luana Street that's no longer there. It's where Linnell and her husband were just hours before the eruption began, dealing with a different emergency.
Well, I was in the kitchen fixing lunch and just put my hands up and said, I have to go lay down.
Linnell had a seizure.
I was gone.
She was in a coma.
I feel like my body's very connected to the earth, so maybe there was some kind of awareness. My next memory is being in the hospital bed, and I think this was 2 days later, and I'm sort of waking up, and all of a sudden the bed starts to shake, and that's when the big blow happened.
Oh my God.
This is what her awakening looked like.
Hey, you guys okay?
A massive 6.9 magnitude earthquake, rattling every inch of Hawaii Island.
And I'm just laying there going, I don't know what's going on, I really don't. I was on a lot of medications, so I'm not sure exactly when it was that Phil said, our house is gone. It felt like, I don't want to get too metaphysical about it, but it felt like this isn't something you need to see.
The Hazemers' home was one of more than 700 that were destroyed during the eruption, the single most destructive eruptive event in the U.S. since the 1980 eruption of Mount St. Helens. Like many others, Linnell is now haunted by the havoc and suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder.
I had no idea what it could do to you, how you could fly into a rage, even with somebody you love, for no apparent reason. or just dive into a depression where you didn't want to get out of bed or eat.
What used to be home for the Hazemers now sits under this massive Mars-like steaming cinder cone, all that's left of their retirement dream and the once furious Fissure 8.
Everything's on loan. Everything's temporary. And be grateful for what you do have.
During the eruption, fissure fountains like these fed miles-long lava flows, unstoppable forces that went over the immovable objects in their way as they wound toward the ocean. Nearly 900 acres of new land were created as the flow engulfed Kapoho Bay, a staggering representation of just how much molten rock was thrust forth from the depths of Kilauea during the entirety of the eruption. To put that into perspective, Interstate 90 crisscrosses the country from Boston to Seattle, a 3,000-mile drive that passes through parts of more than a dozen states. Scientists from the Hawaiian Volcano Observatory say the volume of lava that came out of the ground last year would cover 2 lanes of that highway from coast to coast, in a layer of lava more than 70 feet high. Back at the Kipuka, the fiery flows have become blackened barricades, blocking access to the roads that were once the pathways to Ingrid's property.
But sometimes we do multiple hike in and out. Like we bring a lot of stuff, we leave it here, go back, grab more stuff, leave it here. Pretty much start moving back to the farm.
After the back-breaking trek, residents must still make their way to homes and farms. Maneuvering once inside the Kipuka isn't easy. People here are getting creative.
Like gas, diesel, our food, water. But the big stuff like fertilizer and all that, we fly that in. Yeah, I even flew in our ATV.
The set of wheels is useful for cutting down the next leg of the journey.
It's so exhausting after all the work. Like every minute counts. You have to do a lot of work when you're in here. We're almost there.
She's headed to her family's home and citrus orchard, an entire livelihood that barely survived the lava and wildfire inferno that followed. For the most part, the property is still intact, but it's far from operational.
Usually, this is where my kids would ride their bike all the way to the farm. But now we can't go that way, so we have to cross multiple private property, our neighbors, to get to the farm.
Looking from above, it's easy to see how close Ingrid came to losing everything.
Everyone has different stories. Everyone is greatly affected by not having the road.
Oh, if you have it, I look on the road to see if somebody's coming, right?
There aren't many people living full-time in the Kipuka, and there are even fewer vehicles. They were left behind prior to the area being lava-locked.
Unpaid Uber service.
We are at a standstill in a sense for the time being.
The continued blockage of the road is a concern.
It is a risk and a wrench for us to have to step away to this point.
We're going to have differences, and I know.
I never dreamt I was going to find myself in handcuffs in a paddy wagon one day.
The protesters continue to break the law.
I will try my damnedest to be better.
For me, this is the most serious stand.
One day for Mauna. Tomorrow we will continue.
We have a lot of support here.
We were not going to just stand to the side. We're not going to just sing songs and watch these trucks drive by.
It's going to create a lot of jobs. We can feel the wave building and getting bigger and bigger.
This is so much bigger than a telescope being built. This is humanity. These are human beings whose hearts are hurting.
We are Mauna Kea, and we stand. We stand.
I was no Marie Antoinette.
400 cars, 3,000 pairs of shoes for the ex-beauty queen wife.
I don't think anybody ever thought that the whole political problem in the Philippines would end up in our backyard.
The plunder of the ages.
If you've ever wanted to know what a revolution looks like, feast your eyes on Manila tonight.
They basically fled the country. This was their home now.
Do you still consider yourself president?
Of course. I have not resigned.
And all the while millions of his people lived in filth and disease, Marcos and his family lived in glittering splendor.
It was totally divisive, and it hurt the community a lot.
They knew how to manipulate the system.
It is very good that we had the Filipino people supporting them here. Otherwise, I do not know what would have happened to them.
Exile in Hawaii has been less paradise than purgatory for the Marcoses.
We are barely surviving here.
She's excellent at playing the victim.
This is so cruel, so inhuman, and so immoral.
There's a little bit of Imelda in all of us.
When they went to my closet, not skeletons, but shoes.
It's Tuesday, December 17th, and this is now on HNN.
There's been another deadly officer-involved shooting. The suspect was shot early this morning in West Oahu.
This is Hawaii. We're not used to this.
There's been widespread power outages as gusty winds move into the state.
Don't take land for granted.
On the mainland, southern states are cleaning up after dozens of deadly tornadoes tore through neighborhoods.
I don't know, it looks like it might be turning this away.
Lawmakers are taking the final step before a full House vote on impeachment. I'm Natalie Brand on Capitol Hill with how they're setting the rules for tomorrow.
And I was just one of those normal fans, and to be in this position, I just feel like it's nuts.
These stories and we'll hit the Star Wars red carpet coming up on This Is Now.
Aloha everyone, Ashley and Jonathan here. Multiple sources have confirmed with Hawaii News Now that a man has died following another officer-involved shooting in West Oahu early this morning. Let's go to Lacey Denise for the latest.
We're learning new details on the second from the incident.
Now we are expecting another press conference today by Chief Ballard, and yesterday she spoke about the number of officer-involved shootings here on Oahu so far this year.
Yeah, so far there's been 9 officer-involved shootings, 5 of them now being fatal when you include the ones from last night. Let's listen to what she had to say yesterday at the press conference about what the officers are dealing with.
You know, they once again have to be vigilant and aware of their surroundings too. You know, they're trained to do this, and I think these types of situations, it makes them more observant and more ready, because this is Hawaii. We're not used to this, and so I think with these types of situations, it makes them more vigilant too, and they have to be because of of what's going on. It's really sad to see, and please stop. I mean, this is getting nuts.
You can hear her emotional plea there. That's Chief Susan Ballard. Of course, we're going to have more on this again, that press conference coming up this afternoon. I also hear the FBI is going to be talking about the uptick in crime. That's coming around 1. We're going to take that live for you here on Facebook as well. But in the meantime, let's get you over to a traffic alert.
Yeah, we have a couple of traffic alerts for you.